And I don't think either of us want Mr. Right to see us and think there's any funny business. I'm sorry. Look, can we just... We're finished with the interview already, aren't we? Maybe it's about time I go.
Oh, you must be joking.
No, I'm not.
You're certainly the odd one. Don't be such a killjoy. A little bit of flirting never hurt anyone. Other men would simply be delighted by my interest in them. Besides, you really are such a cutie.
Well, I'm not them, Hannah.
Oh, he's getting stern.
Yeah, I'm probably odd.
I don't understand you.
Let me put it this way. You're a pretty lady, so this must have happened to you at least once or twice. How would you feel if someone was making you uncomfortable? Only for them to refuse when you ask them to stop and they make you out to be the one that's wrong?
This isn't the same as that.
Oops. My main argument is, what sort of man complains about a beautiful woman being friendly with them? Seems logical in my head, but the moment I try and say it, it starts to fall apart.
Yes, it is. Unwanted advances don't make me feel macho or anything like that. I'm not here to argue morals or ethics, Miss Wright. I think I have more than enough for the interview, if that's fine with you. I may be starting to overstay my welcome.
Feel deflated. Things were going so smoothly too. I should have saved beforehand. I'm not sure I feel awful because I'm not getting what I want, or because I just compared to the pigs I so despise.
You're not even going to let me apologize.
You're not a bad person, Hannah. Just...
Because I really am sorry.
People won't always be how you want them to be. And apology accepted, but I really do need to go. A friend of mine is expecting me. It's getting late.
Will you visit again? I will be asking for copies of those photographs.
Yeah, sure. I'll make you a copy.
That would be much appreciated. I'll ask Johans to see you out.
Feels sick to my stomach as I watch Zachary leave. It's silly to be upset over falling out with a man who was, only a few hours ago, a complete stranger to me. Doesn't excuse my boorish behaviour, and it doesn't make the ill feeling any better. Idling about, I stare off into space, unsure of how I feel. I stay a good while, just standing there until the sun sets in the horizon. Disheartened, I proceed back into the mansion for supper. Entering the dining hall caused me so much confusion. It's dark. For a moment, I thought the electric work wasn't up to par. That clearly is not the case, as every other room is bright with artificial light. Finding the light switch is a monumental task, considering the size and my familiarity with the rooms. To make matters worse, the darkness grants the room a different atmosphere, eerie and frightening. It takes longer than I thought to find the switch, something that will have to be rectified later on. My skin starts to prickle, and there is a distinct feeling of being watched. It unsettles me and only spurs me on in my search. When I do open the lights, there is a hiss.
I'll turn the lights down, woman!
Oh, he's found something to drink. How delightful. There at the end of the hall is my beloved husband with his face in one hand and a glass in the other. Perhaps I can let it go if it's only one glass of wine. However, I can feel myself go livid after seeing the toxic green liquid gleaming mockingly at me.
Luke, what? Are you drinking absinthe? You know what the doctor said. Absinthe, Luke. Are you actively trying to kill yourself? Because if you are, we can just hit you with a bloody car.
Honeybee, Buttercup, not too loud, please. Besides, it's Lelouch, not too strong. Just hair of the dog that bit me. Helps with the hangover, dearest.
You drank? When?
This morning, love. Don't be mad.
Drinking in the morning. How can I not be mad?
I just needed a few drinks, having to deal with those simpletons. And maybe I had one too much. You don't see me whinging about you leaving me to handle them on my own.
I had to attend the photo shoot and interview with Luxury Living. You know that. Let's not make this about me, Luke. This is about you and your drinking problem and...
Oh, I don't know, Hannah, darling. What if my drinking problem, as you like to call it, is linked to you?
Oh, low blow.
If we think about it that way, this discussion is about you. That was pretty mean of you, leaving me alone to do all the work like that. You can't use the interview as an excuse either, honey. I was informed the moment your little interview was done. So, what was it then, What were you doing?
You're gonna be, should I tell the truth or a little lie? Tell the
I was
truth.
talking with Zachary, the photographer for Luxury Living.
Oh, he didn't like that. Oh well. I have no reason to tell lies. It's not like I'm guilty of anything. But as Luke's expression turns, he makes me feel like I actually am to blame for something. It's a way of making me laid bare with just a look. It really struck me when we first met years ago.
That giant Negro?
Oh, so he's a drunk, an arsehole, and a racist. Super.
You were having a secret meeting behind my back and it was with him?
What are you implying?
I'm implying nothing. I'm just worried. You know better than to trust those media types, Buttercup. He must have been really friendly to occupy your time like that. But all he's looking for is his next big headline.
He's a photographer for an interior design magazine.
Doesn't matter. You let one little thing slip, one wrong move, and it'll blow up in the telly in the morning. He'll go to his journalist friends to gossip and make a quick quid.
His eyes were the first thing I noticed about him. They were like nature, the grass and the trees, wonderful and breathtaking. Now as I look at him, there's nothing but the same shade of green as the bloody damn drink in his hand.
He was a perfect gentleman, Luke. I can't say the same for you as of recent.
Shots fired.
Excuse me again? We're talking about you, Hannah.
No, I think you'll find, Luke, we were originally talking about you having a drinking problem that your doctor has told you to stop drinking and you still fucking drink and you're a racist.
No, I am pretty sure we were talking about you and your drinking problem, Luke, right?
Told ya. Hangover forgotten during the course of this little spat. The man jumps to his feet and seethes. It looks like he has barely stopped himself from throwing the nearest thing he can find.
Oh, it is not a problem. I can stop whenever I want. And even if it was, I think you can very well stay out of it, as it only affects my own kidneys or liver or whatever the bloody hell that shite pollutes.
First trademark of an alcoholic. I can stop anytime I like, but they never stop.
Whatever aftermath that occurs because of your little chit-chat with the Negro affects the both of us, however.
Oh, can I just... Hannah, pick up the candle and burn his fucking face.
Look, Luke, nothing will happen. You have to relax. It was just a friendly chat.
Well, now I think I'm getting jealous. Or I would be if it weren't for this damn headache.
Maybe you should drink more.
Maybe.
Supper is spent in silence with nothing more than the occasional sound of silverware. Grand feast has been served, well, grander than usual anyway, most likely due to Luke's complaints of stress. That doesn't even look appetizing to me, to be honest. Platter of native oysters for starters, a tranche of turbot with purple sprouting broccoli, lemon, capers, and anchovy sauce for mains. To finish it all off, that looks good. I want all of that. But when our appetites are appeased and the plates are cleared away, Luke stands, kisses me goodnight, and leaves me to stare at my half-empty cup. Lonely in the lull of night, I sit in a house too big and too empty, foreign and unwelcoming. It's with a warm tone and homely decor. It feels cold. There is no need for tears, however. I know I can get through like this. I can get through this like any other obstacle I have faced before. This is a minor setback in what I hope will be a long and happy life. To remind myself that this place is for Luke and our future children fills me with a renewed vigour. Besides, it looks like someone is having a cry already. That's not a normal person crying. Yeah, the same. It shakes me to my very core as I hear it, because it's a fucking ghoul monster. As if the suffering is just standing right beside me. Hearing it sends a chill down my spine and makes my skin prickle with goosebumps. Who is that? Curiosity sinks in as I follow the sorrowful sound into the kitchen and into the wine cellar hatch.
Hello? Is anybody down there?
I'm curious and concerned, but there is no way I'm going down in the dark and humid underground. You're smart. I'm not as enthusiastic as Luke, who considered himself quite the connoisseur. However, I cannot bring myself to go to bed with this racket going on. It's one of the household help that will surely need some talking. After all, this wouldn't be the first time I've gone and found one of the maids sobbing their eyes out over one thing or another. As professional as our staff are, they are still human. More often than not, it was either Johans or I who'd calm them down, who'd help them figure out how to go about things. Unfortunately, I'm not in high spirits right now. I'm not wholly benevolent. Call them out. I knock 3 times. Waiting for any sort of reply yields no results, and I have already touched the floor hatch far too many times than what I would like. There's no way I'm going down there. No way. Take a deep breath before reaching out again to whoever's inside. I've learned from experience that people respond better to kindness than threats. Shouting angrily will not help coaxing them out.
You, in the cellar! Do come out! We don't want Luke waking up and finding you in there, do we? That man would go ballistic thinking someone was trying to steal his precious wine.
Still nothing.
You can have a good cry. Just not in there, yes? Why don't you come out here and we can have a cuppa and you can tell me all about whatever it is you're bawling about?
With how long I am standing there, however, I'm starting to think myself as a fool. I do not want to acknowledge the other feeling I have, especially as the wailing took an eerie turn. The thought of being played with doesn't sit too well with me, and I had to stop myself from getting too hot-headed as I try one more time.
You come out of there! That is an order from the lady of the house, do you hear me? Why, I ought to...
I freeze as a hand clamps down onto my shoulder. The dread I've been feeling all this time makes itself known as I kneel unmoving, not daring to breathe. I can feel my heart pounding against my chest, but the touch is gone quickly as it sees me. No. It's only Johans that I see when I look back. Oh,
apologies, madam, for touching you like that. You were not responding to my voice, and you looked about ready to wake the whole mansion up.
Oh, it's just the nighttime sounds outside.
I'm sorry. I was getting rather loud, wasn't I? But that crying woman in there, we must do something about her.
He grows silent for a moment and just looks concerned. At least I'd like to interpret his concern, given how stoic our head butler usually is. Rather, he must have been concerned as he takes off a glove and presses the back of his hand at my forehead before his worrisome inquiry.
I beg your pardon, what crying woman?
See, there was no way I was going down into that hatch because clearly she doesn't exist.
Are you feeling well, madam?
In the cellar? Can't you hear her?
Madam Hannah, no one is down there.
What?
The cellar is locked. Only Luke and I have duplicates of the keys. Nobody is down there.
I stare at him in disbelief. When I listen once more, I hear no crying. Looking at the hatch for a good measure proves his word to be true. Thing won't budge unless I had a key short of using power tools on it.
Perhaps it is time for you to go to bed, madam. You are simply tired and hearing things, a perfectly normal human experience.
Not really.
But if you are still experiencing auditory hallucinations in the morning, you are free to consult with me.
There's a cold feeling in the pit of my stomach as he helps me onto my feet. What he says makes sense, and who am I to question someone who used to be a doctor? Oh, so the German of the house used to also be a doctor. Good stereotyping. I'm just tired, that's all. A long day of moving, the interview, dealing with Luke, that has all drained me of my proper sense.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I just need some sleep, that's all.
Of course I'm right. Go on then.
Don't be smug.
Gute Nacht.
Good night, Johans. Good night, house.
Why are you saying goodnight to your house? Just fatigue. That's what I keep telling myself, although I can't ignore the strange feeling in my gut. Either there is something wrong with the house, or there is something wrong with my head. Well, you did read a chain letter, and you have heard all the stories that this mansion is completely fucking haunted, but no, it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong. It's just a little bit of fatigue, isn't it? Next day. Luke is already gone by the time I rise. There isn't a single hide nor hair of him to be found. Tried to call him on his mobile. It's a bust. It only goes straight to his voicemail. What does he do? They've never actually said what his company is. For him to disappear today of all days is a bit upsetting because of what's to come. The morning is once again filled with a whirlwind of activity. Fortunately, I'm much more refreshed as I took a break from my responsibilities. I haven't the fanciest clue where Luke was yesterday. Today is going to be a busy day, although unlike Wednesday, the master of the house isn't here right now, absent once again from his duties. Hopefully he'll be back in time for the party. This is our house after all. A grand housewarming party for the wonderful Wright mansion. Every person of importance from Luxbourne is invited, and there will be a few guests flying in as well. Of course, there will be some people from the media, along with friends and acquaintances, who are made no less important regardless of the status in society. Marianne and I discuss business as the last minute touches to the house before finalising everything. Not that there's much to change from our original plans, bar any huge additions to the property itself. The mansion is nearly 100% complete.
You have certainly exceeded expectations, Marianne. Everything looks so marvellous, and in such a short time, too.
Well, I can't take all the credit. People have certainly been enthusiastic about the idea of working on the Wright mansion.
Looking a little bit embarrassed.
There won't be any more problems unless Mr. Wright has any more objections about the second bedroom.
Luke and I had a small tiff about making the second bedroom into a child's playroom, which I insist is completely practical. In the end, he had to acquiesce. Okay. Didn't give him a choice in the matter. I even brought this wonderful wooden crib from the antique store yesterday, including some toys. Just in case anyone brings their baby, of course. Besides, we have little need for actual guest rooms. We hardly have a guest who spends the night. We absolutely have to. We often choose to foot the bill for their visit on one of our hotels instead. Always at Luke's own insistence. And on the off chance that we actually let someone stay, the bedroom in the opposite wing is still up to the task.
Oh, no. We proceed with that room as planned. I already agreed to him having his greenhouse and his vineyard and his stables. He may as well let me have this one thing.
No, I did not agree to him having a helipad.
All right, then. Well, do we have any other concerns? Anything we need to put on our agenda before the party commences?
No, I don't think so. Not unless Luke has anything else to say.
Is he around, then? It'd be best if we can note down his request right away, considering the scope of his usual ones.
Around? No. Where is he? Who knows where? I don't.
No, he's not around.
She didn't have to point out the obvious now, did she? For 7 long years, I've already gotten used to him. I should be by now. Still not, apparently.
But don't you have a party?
I want nothing more than to complain, to whinge about how unfair this is. However, airing out one's dirty laundry is simply taboo among the higher society. To do so will make you a ripe target for the next dinner party chit-chat. Vultures, a lot of them, really. Or most of them, at least. There's always been good ones like Rochelle Lee. But put your trust in the wrong person, you'll find yourself eagerly picked apart.
Yes. But Luke's just being a sweetie, you see. That friend he's visiting. He's having marital problems and he's just trying to cheer him up.
Perhaps I'm being a bit too rash, a bit too hot-headed in divulging details. But I thought myself clever with a plan to dress it up as gossip. Marianne raised eyebrow makes me unsure whether she's interested or not. Although that doesn't make things better if she has no interest and therefore has no hidden intent to utilise whatever I might
They've
say
been
to her.
married for a long time and they've hit how do they say it? A rough patch. His wife has a drinking problem and can be very neglectful. The poor thing really does his best to be a good husband.
So you're just mirroring Luke.
But it's never enough for her. Sometimes I think it's the years. Maybe it's been so long that they've lost that romantic spark.
She's literally fabricating this story to somehow try and get the issues of her marriage off her chest.
What do you think?
You were asking for my personal opinion on the matter, ma'am? Do you want me to be honest, or...
Be honest with me.
Be honest with me, Marianne. I don't need someone to sugarcoat it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not some fragile thing that I'm just going to break down at the slightest thing.
She hesitates, taking a sip from a coffee while I stare into my own cup of tea. Silence stretches on, and I almost believe that she will never answer my question. Suppose that I shouldn't blame her, putting her in a tight spot like this. Her hesitation is understandable, though I loathe to admit it, she simply wants this whole thing to stay professional. But then she speaks.
If I'm going to be completely honest, I need to ask. This is about you and Mr. Wright, isn't it?
Yep, it's my turn to hesitate now. I really didn't expect such a straightforward question. And to get to the heart of the matter, suppose I'm not as clever as I'd like to think. Or is it really that bad that an outsider can see our little marital troubles? Surely we aren't that obvious, are we? We've put up the act of a perfect couple for years, although it hasn't always been an act. Marianne is just more keen than the average person, of course. It is necessary in her career, and she's been working so closely with us. Yes, that's it.
Suppose it is. What would you tell me?
Then, I tell you it's none of my business. I tell you that I don't want to meddle. But, if the troubled husband with the neglectful wife asked me for my honest opinion, I'd say that he shouldn't base his happiness and his self-worth on someone else. Someone who won't even give him the time of the day. Maybe he should try being independent for a while. See what it's like when he isn't trying to please someone else and doing things for himself. Everyone's supposed to be their own man or woman, right? A bit of breathing room never hurt anyone. That's just my 2 pence worth, of course.
So you're saying they should divorce?
Nothing as drastic as that. If they're afraid that it might lead to just that, then maybe that is what's meant to happen in the first place. We shouldn't let our fear control our lives. But it's just a short hiatus is all. Or, couples therapy? Look, I'm really not the best person to ask about relationships, so grain of salt and all that.
Trails off, having said her piece, and leaves nothing but the smell of coffee and Earl Grey between us. There is a calm despite the nature of what has just been discussed. To say that her words make me start to think is an understatement. To say that I'm not considering her advice is a lie. And to say that this might just be the calm before the storm is a possibility. Others have had shorter marriages, yes, but plenty have celebrated long and happy ones as well. My own parents celebrated their choral anniversary before they passed away. But 7 years? 7 years isn't a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. It isn't a whole lot of time to see what and where our relationship can bring us. At the same time, 7 years, well, it hasn't been entirely made up of unhappy years, has it? It won't last forever, it's not supposed to anyway. I just dread the thought that it might last for a very long time. I dread the thought that... It's weird, the way that they've written it is making me stumble over my words. I dread the thought that these small spats and these little disagreements will turn into an all-out resentment. The idea that we will grow to hate each other with every fibre of our being scares me. I can't even pinpoint the exact moment when our blissful union turns sour. We can get through this though, right? I know that I still do love him, and I feel that there's still a part of him that loves me in return. We need to get our heads together and talk it out. Surely he'll see some sense. There is a cough before Marianne clears her throat. Must have been quiet for so long. I make a move to apologise. When she stands up, we both end up on our feet, unsure how to proceed. Some sort of odd, awkward shuffle occurs as we decide whether to sit back down or not.
I really should handle what's left of the work.
You won't be attending the party? Oh, you really must, Marianne.
I'll try to stay and chat. Maybe grab a few bites and a drink, but I can't be around for the entirety of the event. My apologies.
That is the most fake Irish accent for one word. Bites.
Busy, busy, busy.
You must stay a while. I'd love for you to meet some of my friends, and they're ever so excited to meet you. You need to say hello to the Lees, at least. If it wasn't for them, I'd never even heard of you.
We'll see. So, if I can be excused?
Certainly. You'll have to excuse me as well. I must attend to the party before any early birds arrive. Because, believe me, they will throw a fuss if things aren't ready, even when they're not supposed to be here until an hour later.
Being outside the parlour is great organised mess. Aside from our own household help, we hired the service of a temp agent who provides staff for Wright Enterprises in the hospitality sector. Even our very skilled staff cannot undertake a party of this size on their own. Waiters, busboys, hostesses, and their staff captains move about in droves, carrying crockery and serveware good for several dozen people and then some. Chiefs and bartenders tail after Johans, looking like scared little children as he escorts them through the kitchen and into the wine cellar to peruse the stocks to select what can be served at the party and what can be used for cooking.
Schnell! We have a lot to do, and I believe we did not hire snails.
Schnell!
Snails are for the dishes.
A string quartet readies up to play for the evening, tuning their instruments as they fill the air with idle chatter. Floral decor where thousands fill vases, wreaths and baskets, while petals are scattered along the driveway up front. An ice sculpture of a reindeer is brought carefully in by a pair, and it is followed by a simple cake, just a 5-tier white... yes, just a simple 5-tier cake. But despite the fact that I told Marianne how I will attend to all of this, I find myself unable to focus or care for any of it. Still have to discuss our I still have our discussion running in my mind, and looking at all of this, I only see Luke everywhere. There are all these grand things that Luke wanted to have for the party. I wanted a small, elegant and simple gathering with only a select few invited, namely the people who would actually trust to enter my home. I do not want any bloody politicians or paparazzi in here, no matter how used I am to catering them.
At least be here for your party. Damn it, Luke.
The entire thing screamed Luke Wright. I can't help but add another question to my growing list of query. When did I lose myself? It's always about him nowadays, isn't it? What about Hannah Wright? What about Hannah Evans? I used to be my own woman who made her own name, her own career, and her own decisions. Surely, I was already a social butterfly that I am today, but it wasn't all empty, shallow gossip and I almost said shitting pretty. Yes, it wasn't all empty, shallow gossip and shitting pretty. I was also lauded for my knowledge and talent. Finance manager wasn't handed to me. It's because my father owned the company. I had insisted that I start at the bottom so I could work my way to the top and prove myself. And I did. I worked numbers, managed budgets, money in accounts, analysed the competition and market trends. There was the calculation of financial risk, the cost reduction opportunities, auditor liaison, and public relations, supervision of staff, and, well, I guess, I generally had a huge slew of responsibilities. Admittedly, I was already quite the attention seeker even back then, having dedicated most of my youth craving for my parents' approval. Failing that, I turned to others, looked for praise from anyone who would give it, however fleeting it all was. So that one bit there perfectly shows exactly why her character was flirting with Zach. Because she's not getting the attention off Luke anymore, she's going somewhere else to try and find some more attention, and it just happened to be Zach. It's not entirely the whole thing of, well, she's looking to cheat. But at the same time, it's like, well, if Luke's giving me no attention, I'm not going to sit around and look pretty for him. I may as well get the attention from somewhere else while I can. He had me disgustingly obsessed since day one, hasn't he? Even he saw me for me, Hannah Evans, with both my faults and my achievements. The man didn't treat me like some damsel in distress or some prize to be won. I remember the nights before we were married where we would talk about everything and everything. Everything and anything, not everything and everything. From big things like business, society and philosophy to little things such as what we had for breakfast or whether we liked cats or dogs more. We both prefer dogs. Nowadays it's just Luke Wright. I'm just Luke Wright's wife. Mostly my fault, isn't it? He told me that husbands preferred wives who are docile and subordinate. A woman who will always be there for him, yet would never outshine him in all aspects except beauty. A wife needs to be at home and attend to his needs, to have children, and to take care of them in his absence. They said I have no business working anymore after I was married. Can blame society, but I listened. Before I can fall into this introspective pit of self-loathing, someone calls for my attention.
The guests have arrived, madam.
And Luke?
Running a bit late, I'm afraid.
Late for his own party. That man, I swear. He's probably looking to make a dramatic entrance, knowing him. Open the doors then. We mustn't tarry.
Mustn't tarry. You know what? I'm going to start looking up these things. Have a look. Tarry. Like or covered with tar. I don't think that's the way that she was meaning that word. Cars line up on the driveway, peppering the front of the mansion with vehicles of every kind. Grand Tourers, supercars, and the odd high-end muscle car or two. Convertibles, grand saloons, and other luxury cars can be seen being parked by valets. A handful of cabs drive off, possibly for those who thought it was too troublesome to bring their own cars. There is at least 2 different media vans as well. They're all here for what may be considered the biggest event of the year for Luxborn so far. Who knows what we'll plan in the winter holidays.
Welcome everyone. Please make yourselves at home.
Some of the guests idle, enjoying the warm, if not strange sunshine we're experiencing before gloomy skies inevitably return. They create acquaintances and friends with warm smiles, others less so. From where I stand, I can see the hierarchy of power, the ties that bind these individuals here, whether through convenience or necessity. However, there are also few who are not here to further cement their current place in high society. Such as a young man with his oriental air, ignorant of the looks he receives from women and men alike.
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Man from the Orient. Okay then. Well, that rose-haired woman talking on her phone while she looks unsure of why she's here exactly.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom. Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
I see Zachary, the photographer, as well. He talks with a few other media crews with an air of familiarity.
I was just here a few days ago, yeah. And the inside is huge, but the staff are pretty helpful if you get lost.
I'd invited Father Norman too. At least I can do after he blessed the mansion on my request, aside from my small donation to the church, of course. But the poor man had taken ill and went through a nervous breakdown of some sort the other day. And then there are people like Chief Inspector. People who I can never be too sure about. People who stand on the borders between being suspicious and trustworthy.
Thank you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see.
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee. The doctors again.
She told me she'll just be in the gardens. Bet she's lying and that she's somewhere around mingling. gossiping with the other ladies. It's no offense, but that seems to be all you ladies do at these parties.
Oh yeah, no offense taken,
Aren't you
dickhead.
gossiping right now?
Yes, well,
Shots fired.
what about Luke? Should we file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
Why does everything he says sound like he's trying to make it make it overtly sexual?
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing. Don't tell me, let me guess. He's finally drunken himself to death and not wanting a scandal, you've hidden his body.
Yes.
I was wanting to give this housewarming gift to him personally, too. It's a plate that holds a wine glass so he can stop killing himself with liquid lunches. Looks like it's too late for that.
Nothing like that. Besides, this is a hardly polite conversation.
Oh, relax, I'm just trying to be cheeky to lighten the mood. It's not like I want Luke dead.
But you secretly do, because look at that smile, because you want to bed me.
The man doesn't serve dodgy plonk like the others when I visit, and he pays his respects well enough. I could use a glass of wine or 3, actually. Michelle's been in a horrid mood. Threw her stilettos at me the other day and almost took an eye out.
Well, you probably deserved
Not
it.
sure if this is how it usually goes, but I blame the pregnancy.
I wouldn't know, would I?
Still no plans for a baby? Well, I guess that's for the best. If it's this bad now, I can't even imagine how bad it'll be when that little baby bump becomes huge.
Have I mentioned how I don't trust him, no matter how hard I try to do so? At least it brought a gift, I
Why
suppose.
don't you just go inside and have some wine, Lee?
So dismissive.
Think I will, thanks.
Greetings such as these carry on as the guests continue to trickle in. Whether we have short conversations or merely shake hands and nod heads, I make sure to attend and welcome each of them. As the first hour passes us by, the rest of the stragglers and I adjourn to the ballroom. Any latecomers will have the attention of the porter instead. I have other duties to attend to now. Hosting parties is always the same old song and dance, no matter how big or small it is. You make sure your guests are well fed, have good company, and then have them generally enjoy themselves. So when my opening remarks are done, when the band has started to play and the guests have started eating, I find myself wandering around aimlessly until I'm pulled aside. For a while, I stay with a small group and entertain them before excusing myself. And when they're not anyone... And when they're not any more watching me. You mean, when they're not watching me anymore, I end up watching them. When they don't listen, I do. Local banker is having trouble with his daughter. He wishes to marry her off, but she wants nothing more but to make music. One of our hotel managers worrying about stolen belongings of one of his patrons, a failing in security, which should be brought up to the higher authorities soon. Our mayor, well, his cat died. And then there's this rose-haired woman once again. Hard not to notice her, with her very distinctive locks. She also lacks the grace that the other ladies have. Not that that does not make her any less beautiful. Her stance and the air she exudes instead are strong, and they make her stand out despite her casual attire. Many men have already given her the attention, though each invitation to dance has been turned down. I approach intrigued, although it's no great mystery what occupies her own attention, with the glances she keeps sending over towards that boy with the oriental hair. She remains unaware though, even though I stand beside her, pretending that I'm there for a drink.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenu, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. Quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
Oh, she's flirting again. The boy comes over, but I do nothing to speak any softer. He merely passes by, and it is a wonder he does not hear what I say.
Who, Ash?
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down
Hey
those
Trenchie, how you
offers.
doing?
If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name. Ash, that's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time.
This game, a TLDR of this game. So this mansion, what they're in right now, has recently been bought by this character here, Hannah, and her husband, Luke. There's some form of curse or haunting or something which is over the mansion. And one of the characters we previously played found this note in the attic upstairs in this house. That apparently carries the curse, and there's some weird ghoulish looking thing haunting her because of it. And it's already shown up again for Hannah and shown up for Zach.
I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this
That's
party.
essentially it so far.
That must mean you know each other. Is he your boyfriend then? Because that would explain those rejections.
Well, in all my life, I've never seen a face grow red so fast. The shade of her hair didn't help as well. It's the most pink I've seen on a person, really.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
Such a violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed. Many here would be happy to hear it.
And I haven't been looking at him.
Oh, I think you have.
That's right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact. Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
It's more the latter currently.
Just don't go murdering him on my property. I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
I waver as I feel the burning of someone's stares. It is chilling, though I'm used to enduring the gaze of others. This one makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. There she is! That's the thing that's been haunting everyone. Creepy, ghoulish woman. I'm actually trying to work out what she says every single time, but there's that many voices layered on top of each other. It's chilling, and though I'm used... Yep. Jesus Christ. My attention is pulled from the girl, and I see a woman staring. Dark-haired and dirty, she looks like a beggar. More like a beggar than a guest. You think she's just a beggar? I have half the mind to call the security at her when her mouth breaks out into a grin. All I hear is her laughing, taunting. The stare makes my blood run cold. She looks at me like I'm nothing but a pig to slaughter for her amusement. You think that's just a normal person? What normal person is walking around with eyes that wide, a grin like that with blood pouring all over them? Makes my hand shake and I nearly drop my drink. But then, in a blink, she's gone and the buzz of the party returns.
I'll keep that in mind, but... Are you alright?
Nope. Nope.
Yes,
Nope.
Sorry. I just thought I saw something strange. It must be the trick of the light.
Nope. Nope. Just a trick of the lights. You just saw a ghoulish woman covered in blood and you think, oh no, it must just be the lights.
Anyway, on a right, as you must already know.
Rebecca Gales.
Gales.
The name is familiar, like a fond memory. I recall a kind lady, a private tutor who treated me like her own daughter when I was young. She'd even bring me food when there was no need to do so. Usually stovies, which I honestly hadn't been too keen about, though I ate them nonetheless, because she brought them for me.
Oh, the professor! And your little Becky!
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now. And Mom says hi, by the way. But yeah, that's me. Little Becky.
Yes, oh, I remember you! You were the cutest little thing with glasses! And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A.
Ashton?
What was it again? Aaron, Alan, Adele, Albert, Alexander, Andrew?
The more I list off names, the more red and more quiet Becky gets. She starts to look a bit miserable as her body language shows discomfort and stiffness. Perhaps I have triggered a horrid childhood memory. Surely I haven't been mean when she visited with her mother. I don't quite remember all of it.
Ashton! Ash! That man is that boy! The same one.
So now we know that Rebecca has had a crush on Ash since they were kids.
Oh, goodness me, after all these years! I can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone within earshot, you know?
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
And a tad bit sad. No shit.
So, this is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Please, Anna's fine. We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little infatuation, Becky. Don't you worry, dearie. You'll have your happy ending yet.
Look at that smile on her face.
I'm not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales. And they are, sorta. I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best.
Well, you've been metaphorically trapped in some tower hoping for the best your entire life.
If you love them, you have to fight for it, right?
And you've not really been fighting for it.
You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own. Like everything, you have to work at it. But what do I know?
There's a grimace, although she starts to relax around my presence. How long has it been since we met as children? Certainly a long time. She was tiny back then, if I recall correctly.
I'm sure the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about. But have you told him how you feel? And it's been what? 20 years?
For 20 years you've had a crush on Ashton. Holy shit!
17, actually. But no,
Don't
not
even
yet.
matter.
He can be a bit dense. I was hoping that maybe he'd notice on his own and...
Well, that won't do. What if you two become husband and wife? He's not to be dense when he's sworn himself to another person. Why, you might just as well consider leaving before the day's even begun.
If that happens, I'll have to give him a good ear bashing, won't I? Whoever anyone ends up with, it's not going to be a perfect relationship anyway.
Oh... Shots fired towards Hannah and Luke.
It's going to be things you'll love and things you'll hate about the other person. We're just humans.
Yeah, no
It's
worries,
funny.
Jamal.
Here I am, trying to give you advice when you did the very same thing back then.
I'm gonna
I remember
slowly...
you giving me a makeover when we were still kids. And you were the first I told anyone about my... crush.
I will be slowly uploading it onto YouTube. I just need to get round. I still need to put Doki Doki up on there. Or watching the Twitch VODs is cool. Either way, I'm really, really bad about uploading this shit to YouTube. Did I give her that yellow summer dress or the pink blouse and petticoat? She must have kept some of what I said in mind. It was ridiculous remembering all of that years later, talking about boys and how they go crazy for pretty girls as if it's some gospel every woman should adhere to. It was so easy to say such things then, with me not knowing any better. Though, looking at her now, she must have kept some of what I said in mind. Perhaps I did say something good at the time, enough for her to take to heart. But all that didn't matter in the moment as I mull over what she just said in my head. Yeah, it's what I generally do, but instead of pushing the entire VOD onto YouTube, so it's like a 5-6 hour YouTube video, I break it up into the hour segments, I highlight them, then send them through. And I just can't be arsed doing it. Like, half the time I'm like, I should really do this, and I keep on top of it. And then it slowly trails off. Like, I've got half of my Last of Us playthrough up on YouTube. I've got the highlights ready to go up, but I just haven't got around to putting them on. There's no time to ponder over that. However, a hush descends upon the lively crowd. The music of the strings and chatters slowly grinds to a halt as the doors from the foyer opens up. Is this going to be Little Miss Ghoul? And anyone else this late would be simply too embarrassed to show their face. So this can only be one person, or rather, one man. Oh, it's Luke. There is only one man who's audacious enough to arrive at his own party so late.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party?
With a drink in hand.
I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the right mansion.
Unlike I, who was raised in the spotlight and simply grew used to its presence, he sought it out every chance he could, even when there was no spotlight that shone. And I'll never put it against him when he smiles like that. He did so quite brilliantly under the scrutiny when he channels his showmanship. You can tell by the way people's eyes light up as he speaks. How they listen, enraptured, even if all he's doing is a simple greeting. A little wave of his hand here, a little smile, and a bit of swagger. I always tell him that if he's not to be a businessman, he'll do well as an entertainer. I do love that side of him, especially when he looks at me and he beckons me over to humbly share his place. Not a single second is wasted as I excuse myself from Becky's side and make my way to Luke's.
Welcome one and all to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are our ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
He's just a bit of a dick, isn't he? There's a round of applause, cheers, and even some hoots. Guests approach us left and right to shake Luke's hand and greet him personally, praises on their lips. Because of this and that, I do not see her. I don't see her until she's dangerously close with fury in her eyes and she's already spitting venom. Thought that was going to be the ghoul. Oh. Johannes restrains her, taking care not to unnecessarily harm the pregnant woman. But that does little to deter her rage, and the man has no choice but to let her go, lest an unborn child is hurt. Although it might not be too late for that, as seeing an emptied wine glass in her hand. How much has she imbibed in?
Are you feeling ill, Rochelle?
Oh, it's Lee's
Perhaps
wife.
you need to sit down and...
No! Shut it, you munter! I ain't talking to you! I'm talking to this scumbag over here!
What the hell is that accent? Like, seriously, what the fuck is that accent? You munter!
You bloody bastard, standing there with your smarmy smile!
She interrupts me, jabbing her finger in my direction before she rounds on Luke. Even as whispers and murmurs break out among the guests, all I can focus on is the heat of the moment. Obviously intoxicated, judging by the smell of alcohol on her breath. I'm not ticked off about this little display of hers, at least not yet. I'm absolutely pissed by the fact that she endangered her own baby by drinking. There is a considerable amount of restraint and grace that I must exercise while I wait for her tantrum to subside. I keep a patient, if tight, smile on my face. Luke's expression, on the other hand, is indecipherable.
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Rochelle.
Look at that face.
Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
I did.
And I told you with great emphasis not to. Now we have a drunk, hormonal, pregnant woman causing a stir. What is even going on?
I'm just about to ask that exact same thing.
I don't know. But Rochelle, do calm down before you hurt yourself. I can't understand a word you're saying.
Where is that husband of yours? Lee! Collect your wife right now!
Don't you fucking talk like I'm not here and you're not responsible, you ass! You told me that I should wait for you in the gardens!
Excuse me? What is this nonsense you're going on about?
Crazy talk! That's all it is! Just completely and utterly mad! Has anyone seen the Chief Inspector?
I am pregnant with your little bastard! You promised me you'll take responsibility. God damn it, Luke! I finally got you to talk to me after months of silence, and you do this to me!
What?
What do you mean you're pregnant with... Luke, is this true?
Lies and slander, woman! Security! Johans, take her out of here before she makes an even bigger fool of herself!
No, you do not do this to me. I was so ready to leave my stupid oaf of a husband. I told you to leave that damn wife of yours. Look at her. Does she look like she wants a baby? Does she look like she could take care of a baby?
But she does want a baby. It's this prick here who doesn't want a fucking kid, but then gets... You know, I'm actually inclined to believe that that's true. I'm inclined to believe that Luke has managed to get her pregnant. That's why she's away so much. Even Lee said that she's probably in the garden somewhere and that she was going to stand in the garden somewhere. It seems very strange that that would happen if it wasn't true. I mean, yes, there is an element of, well, you're rich and famous. If I say that you're carrying my baby and the entire media crew here hears that, you have an obligation to try and save face by either trying to deny it and brush it under the rug or just helping me to keep me quiet. They surround her and move to escort the hysterical woman. Judging by his pale face, he's heard the whole thing, and I feel nothing but pity for the man.
I'm so sorry for her behaviour. She's been under a lot of stress. And the alcohol. Talking nonsense, that's all it is. You're not allowed to drink because of the baby, Shelley. What are you thinking?
Nothing to see here, people. Move along.
God, I love Johannes. Is there really nothing here but the ramblings of a drunk? Yes, that's right. There's no way that what Rochelle said is true. No, what she says doesn't match up. I know Luke. Such a scandalous meeting are to be arranged. Was to be arranged. He wouldn't do it in such an exposed place, especially not near his precious flowers. He definitely won't promise responsibility over a child unless it can be helped. Besides, Luke will never go as far as to sleep with another woman, right? Well, he is a sleazy arsehole. Okay, fine, who am I kidding? If I'm to be completely honest with myself, he might cheat. No shit! With a bit of temptation and a bit of alcohol, he just might. And he doesn't... Oh, and doesn't that just make my blood boil to even think of the slightest possibility of infidelity? Lee is too far off when he told me how Luke still acted like some young hotshot bachelor. Gets me to start to think. That this is about their relationship. Because it's Marianne that suggested the break. Although, come to think of it, a man who's just so openly been accused of cheating and getting another woman pregnant, having a break would probably increase those rumours. But at the same time, I need to work for my happy ending. You've even just flat out said that he might cheat. He's not giving you any attention, he's always out of the house. Oh, shit. Either way, I don't think it'll be a good thing. I mean, Luke is a fucking dick, so she should really have a break away from him. But because this curse is real and the woman has been showing up all the time and has shown herself to Hannah twice now, is it really worth sending her away by herself? Because, you know, the whole horror movie trope